In this episode of Tech Talk, the last of our cloud season, we welcome once more Quentin Béchou, Cloud Transformation Manager at PwC Luxembourg, but also Gaëtan Claes, who works as Account Manager Public Sector at Amazon Web Services in Belgium. Together, we talk about the AWS commitments on sustainability, the key aspects organizations should consider for their IT cloud transformation project, and what are the most common concerns and drivers when mitigating to the cloud. But there's more. We also ask our guests about the state of cloud adoption in 2023 and specifically in Luxembourg. So, without further delay, let's jump right into it. Welcome to a new episode of Tech Talk. This is episode 4, the last one of our cloud season, and it's called the one on cloud sustainability and innovation. Today I am presenting alone, as Armin is on a business trip on sunnier places, but I'm very well, I have good company with me, so I have Quentin and Gaëtan. Welcome.
Hello everyone.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm fine as well. It's sunny right now, so not too bad. So I will start with the first question. Sustainability is a big topic currently in Luxembourg. What are Amazon commitments on this subject? So this question is clearly for you, Gaëtan.
Yes, sustainability is, of course, an important topic. Certainly nowadays, with the energy crisis we're all facing and the climate change we observe on a daily basis. To respond to this, Amazon co-founded in 2019 the Climate Pledge. So the Climate Pledge is a commitment to reach net zero carbon emission by 2040, which is 10 years ahead of the Paris Agreement. All signatories of the pledge, today there are around 350 companies that already joined the pledge, agree to report and to measure on the carbon emission on a regular basis, and to implement decarbonization strategies to reduce the emission, of course, through real business change and innovation. Amazon is on a path to power all of its operation with renewable energy by 2025, which is 5 years ahead of our initial plan. And today, I can say also that we are the larger purchaser of renewable energy, with more than 12 gigawatts of renewable energy production capacity across our global portfolio. If we take a closer look at AWS, so Amazon Web Services, so a subsidiary who is providing on-demand cloud computing platforms, you can imagine we need a lot of energy to power all of our infrastructure. Our infrastructure today spans 99 availability zones located in 31 regions around the globe. Each availability zone consists of a series of data centers. In all of those data centers, you have a lot of servers. So you can imagine around the world, we have a lot of servers that need a lot of power. And here also, we are on a path to power all of our regions with renewable energy. If I take a closer look at Europe, so we have 8 regions in Europe, 24 availability zones, and already at the end of 2021, all of our regions in Europe were powered by over 95% with renewable energy. So this is energy that we are purchasing, but we also try to produce our own renewable energy. So today we have 117 active renewable energy projects just in Europe. So just to give you an idea.
Wow.
Now, using renewable energy is one thing, but we also try to reduce our energy usage because the greenest energy is the one you don't use. And a study conducted by 451 Research has shown that AWS infrastructure is up to 5 times more energy efficient than enterprise data centers in Europe, which means that if a customer decides to migrate all of his workload to the AWS cloud, he will be able to reduce his energy consumption by up to 80%.
Wow, those are quite impressive numbers that you shared. And how is that possible?
Yeah, there are different factors to explain this. The first one is, and the most important one, is due to higher server utilization. So if we look at the infrastructure of our customers, we see that their infrastructure is very little used, mainly because their infrastructure is not shared, so it's only used by them. And also they have to foresee the capacity for the peaks, so which explain why the servers are not used at maximum capacity. But also customers are doing an investment for long term, so they have to make sure that the servers and the storage, for example, we have enough capacity to grow over the years. So in the cloud, it's completely different because our infrastructure is used by millions of customers. Which give us the possibility to optimize the usage of our resources. So that's one aspect. The second one is linked to the efficiency of the AWS cloud. So we focus on efficiency across all aspects of infrastructure. So from the way we design our data centers to the way we operate in our data center to the hardware that we use in our data center. And to give you an example, last year we released our Graviton 3 processor. And those processors use up to 60% less energy from the same performance than non-Graviton instances. Last but not least, we are also providing our customers with tools to help them meet the sustainability goals, to help to make sure that they are making architecture that are sustainable. And there, for example, last year we released our carbon footprint tool, which is a tool that customer can easily access through the console, and that give them the possibility to calculate the carbon emission for the usage of AWS.
All right. And you also added a sixth pillar to the WELL architect framework, a sustainability pillar. Quentin, can you tell us more about it?
So this framework from AWS is not only about the sustainability, but you have 5 other pillars, and you really need to take a look at it because it's really the best practice that you can find to start using the cloud and deploy your workload there. But as of today, it's more on sustainability and innovation. For me, this pillar is deeply linked to the cost management. We saw it in the recent months and years with the energy crisis that we have in Europe. Everyone is also making an effort on their own to save some energy. So basically, it will be the same with the cloud. So you will try to save money. And because you want to save money, then you will be more sustainable, like Gaëtan just said before. So the client that I have, and by experience, they are also moving to the cloud for the innovation, but also for the cost saving that you can benefit with this. So I'm seeing a few points that are really important when embracing your cloud journey. So the first one is to ensure that you are right-sizing your infrastructure. Like Gaëtan said, when you were on premise, you were buying your server for 3 or 5 years in the hope that this will meet the capacity that you will need for those 5 years. In the cloud, within one click, you can deploy a VM. So you don't have this projection to do in the future. Then you need to monitor your virtual machine. Because if your CPU, for example, is only 40% usage, maybe you should think of decreasing the VM size. So having the right size, you will spend less using this VM. The second point is scalability. So by that I mean reducing the number of VM that you are using during off-peak hours. In the contrary, when you are in peak hour, you can increase the number. If you are not using dev or test environment during night or weekend, shut it down. You will save money, you will be more sustainable. I can also add delete your resources when not used anymore. Manage your data lifecycle, really important. Every data that you are storing in the cloud will cost money, so if you don't need it anymore, just delete it. monitor your infrastructure to detect unexpected behavior. So some resources can have a peak in cost usage. If you are able to detect it, you will be able to remediate it quickly. And make use of the latest hardware. So like Gaëtan said, the Graviton CPU is a real improvement. So if you can make use of this, you will be more efficient and you will save money. So the two are really deeply linked. The last point that I could add is the region. Some regions are more sustainable than the other. So in your process of choosing the right one, of course, you need to check on the compliance. And for most of the people listening, I think it will be a EU region. So there are 8 for AWS. But some are more sustainable. So if you have the services that are requested for your workload and you have the choice between, let's say, Frankfurt and one in the Nordic region, the carbon footprint will be better with the Stockholm region because the energy is more renewable from there. So it's also a conceptual choice to make.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll talk a bit more about regions later on. And I think it's very interesting what you said because indeed they are very linked, but sometimes people think that being more sustainable means more costs. And in fact, in the case of cloud, is not really the case. So that's good. So for a company's IT cloud transformation project, what are the key points to take into consideration?
So for me, the governance and again, the cost management, those are really the first point to tackle when you are starting with the cloud journey. Then whether you are a large or a small company, there are really some key pillars that you need to configure or to set up for a proper use of the cloud. So here I can speak about the identity, the way you will manage your user identity, the federation with maybe your on-premise Active Directory. Enabling the single sign-on for the user experience is really important too. The second point is the networking. So how you will configure the connectivity between the cloud and on-premise environment. You need to use the right internet line, could be a VPN, could be a direct connect or any leased line. Making the design also of the network in the cloud, so VPC, VNet, and all the subnet is really important from the beginning of your project. Again, the security, really important point. Enabling the firewall, the alerts, all the logs, access right, the encryption if needed to keep your data safe, really important. The compliance, it will also depend on the company or your company requirement. So defining the data sensitivity, do not host any really critical or sensitive data in the cloud, or at least assess the risk and encrypt it if needed. Select your resource type, the localization, again, logs, naming and tagging are really important. By resource type, I can add that you can limit or restrict the access to the type of resources. So maybe you don't need the more costly virtual machine. You can limit to the lower level virtual machine. This will save you money, and again, it's good for the sustainability. Monitoring, monitor your resources, the resilience with proper BCP and DRP, and maybe one of the first that I forgot is the account management and the organization. Set up your account, your organization, your organizational unit, set your policies from there. It's really important. And then for the Luxembourgish listener here today, I would add that the exit strategy is also important regarding to the CSSF. So think of your exit strategy. It will also save you from the vendor locking in the future.
We talked about that in the episode, right?
Just small reminder.
Very good point. Very well done. Well, thank you for the answer. It's very clear, and I think these are all very good points to take into account. My next question is for Gaëtan. What are the biggest challenges for enterprises to move to the cloud, in your view?
Yeah, what we see is that the biggest challenge for large organizations to move to the cloud are not technical. They're mainly about people and culture. And and the biggest difference that we see between organizations that are talking about moving to the cloud and the one that actively do it are coming down to a few things. The first one, it's about the leadership team. So it's really important that the leadership team in the organization is convinced about moving to the cloud and truly committed to move to the cloud. And we see that in some organization, if moving to the cloud is not a priority, or if the company has not that culture of change and that culture of innovation, you will see that those organizations, there will always be someone or some people in the organization that will block things out, that will have other priorities. So first message, it's really important that leadership teams are aligned and truly committed. The second point, it's what we see as well is that the companies that were the most successful into the cloud transformation were the one that had a strong and an aggressive top-down goal to move to the cloud. That really forced the organization to move faster than it will have organically. To give you an example, we're supporting today a lot of customers. They're all at a different stage. But at one of our customers 2 years ago, we had a new director that arrived and was coming from another public sector, because I'm covering mainly public sector customers. So this person was coming from another public sector organization where he successfully migrated the organization to the cloud. So this person was really convinced about the benefits of the cloud, what it brings in terms of innovation and agility. And when this person arrived at one of our customers, he set as objective to migrate 70% of the application by the end of 2023. So it was less than 2 years ago. If I look at where this customer is today compared to others, you can really see the impact that such a decision has had on the organization. So really having an aggressive top-down goal, it's an important aspect as well. The third point is about training. We see that a lot of customers do not really understand all of the concept of the cloud. So it's really important to make sure that all the people in the organization, not only the technical people, but also the people from the business, are trained on the cloud and understand the concepts and the way it works. And we are training hundreds of thousands of people every year on the cloud to make sure that people understand and are leaving their comfort zone to start benefiting of the cloud. And the last thing that I want to mention is sometimes we see also enterprise that are paralyzed because they don't know how to move every workload to the cloud. And we are often working with those organizations to do a portfolio analysis. So we really help them looking at all of the application and building a plan to define when to move every application, short-term, mid-term, long-term. And this really helps the organization to get the benefits for many of the application much more quickly.
Yeah, well, I was going to say exactly the same, and it reminds me another podcast we recorded about the user experience, the user perspective, and how important it is to onboard people from top down to the cloud journey so they can understand and be okay with it. So my next question goes to Quentin. What are the drivers for enterprises to move to the cloud?
I'm seeing 4 main drivers. The agility, the resiliency, the innovation, and the cost optimization. By agility, I mean really you will get more flexibility than on-premise. So we already covered this just before. Easily scale up, scale down your infrastructure as needed. And if you think to the recent pandemic we were in, you had actors that has to really decrease the capacity, like hotel chains, airlines, etc. But in the reverse, the online shops, maybe, they had to increase the capacity. So you see, in any case or any event, it's really, I think, good or beneficial to be on the cloud. The resiliency, second one, so all the cloud providers are offering some regions with availability zone, etc., all over the world. So as long as you have an account with them, you can deploy a workload, let's say in Australia, so to be close to your end user. So you can also have a second region for the disaster recovery. But having this with not cloud actors, it's more difficult or more costly, I would say. So it's really a good benefit from the public cloud. The innovation, so you know that the competition is really hard on the cloud. We have the leader today with us, but we have Microsoft and Google not so far behind. And I think they are making everything they can to make the competition. And so they have to stay ahead. So they have to innovate with new services, etc. So it's, in the end, all beneficial for the end user or your company. So by using the cloud, it's really all the new services that you will have, and this will also help you to stay ahead of your competition. So I think it's really important. And the last one is, again, the cost.
Those are strong arguments, I would say.
Yes? Okay. You're convinced.
You made your case, yes. I'm
Perfect.
convinced. Every year, AWS announces new services at the re:Invent conference. What were the major announcements? What was the major announcement this year? Or announcements, I don't know.
Yeah, we made a lot of announcements. It's always time of the year, which is really exciting for us because people are curious to learn what AWS will announce this year.
So you create expectation.
Yeah, great expectation. Yeah. And let me introduce you to two services that I think will have a big impact for our customers. And they're all related to data because, today we're still producing more and more data.
True.
And trying to get insight from the data. So we are trying to bring and offer new services related to data. And the two services that I would like to briefly introduce today, the first one is Amazon Data Zone, and the second one is Amazon Security Lake. So Amazon Data Zone is a new services that allow you to catalog, discover, share, govern, and analyze data across organizational boundaries. So what we see is that in a lot of enterprise, you have on one side the data producer, so that are producing a lot of data. So you have the data engineers, you have the data scientists, and on the other side, you have the data consumers. So people like the business user or the analyst that are willing to access the data to build some analysis dashboard or to get valuable business insight from that data. And what Amazon Data Zone does is it bridges really the gap between, on one side, the data producers, and on the other side, the data consumers. So these services give the possibility to the data producer to catalog and to share the data that they have, and to the consumer of that data to easily find, access, and analyze that data using the right analytics tools. And all of this with some governance built in. So without entering too much into the details, so there are, with Data Zone, there are a few key concepts that are important to understand. So the first one is the concept of a business data catalog, so which gives the possibility for the organization to really build a catalog of data with some business metadata information, so with some business contact details. And that business data catalog really enables you to make the data visible to a different team in your organization. A second important concept is the concept of data project. So you can see that as a kind of collaborative space where user can collaborate, exchange on data, get access to analytics tools, and really start building business case and extracting value from the data. The third point is about governance and access control, which is enabled by the publish and the subscribe workflow. So with that, I mean that the publish workflow really defines who is allowed to put data in the business catalog, who is allowed to publish that data, who owns that data. And the subscriber workflow gives the possibility to the users to subscribe to certain workflow that they are interested in. And of course, all the mechanisms are in place to govern that data. So who is allowed to publish, who owns the data, who can subscribe, etc. And the last component is the data portal, so which is outside of the AWS console. So it's a web-based portal where users of Data Zone can log in and then access all of the data projects and things like that. So that's the first service that I want to mention. It has just been it's still in preview, but you can already play with it since a few weeks. It's available in one of our European regions, so you can start playing with it today, but we're expanding it to be GA in the coming months. The second service that I wanted to mention is Amazon Security Lake.
Interesting name.
Yeah, so it's also about data. We also see a lot of data being produced around security. Here we're talking about security data, so it's logs and events. So this service is more for the security teams. And Amazon Security Lake is a fully managed security data lake services. So what this service is doing, it automatically centralizes all of security data that you have. So I talk about logs, events, and it's doing that from all of the AWS services that you use. So it natively integrates with AWS, but also gives you the possibility to import security data from your on-premises data center or from third-party sources. And all of this will be stored in a data lake. So it's in our simple storage services called S3. And the big benefit of the services is that you really keep ownership of the data. So you are not tied to a particular supplier. And that's really a challenge that a lot of companies are facing, is that, okay, they're ingesting all of this data, but it's tied to a product from a certain supplier. And if they're willing to exploit that data, they are limited to the tools provided by that supplier. With Security Lake, they will not be tied to a particular supplier. And I will explain that later, but that data will be made available in an open format. So it means that they will be able to collect and analyze the data using the tools that they want. Now, big benefit of Amazon Security Lake is that it automates the collection of security-related information. And like S3 that a lot of our customers are using to store the data, Amazon Security Lake helps you manage the life cycle of the data with customizable retention and replication settings. Amazon Security Lake also converts all the ingested data in an Apache Parquet format, but also in a new open source format, which is called the Open Cyber Security Schema. So it has been made open source by Splunk. It was a Splunk format in the past. And today, all main security players on the market are supporting this format and are integrating with Security Lake. So I would say I really like these new services because I think it will simplify a lot the work of the security teams who were used to spend a lot of time to ingest and putting that data. Now they will really be able to focus on handling threats and incidents with these new services.
What do you think, Anton? I see you nodding.
Yeah, so I think it's two really innovative services, surfing on the data trend that we are seeing since months and years, and maybe some competition software have to worry about this.
Well, that's the beauty of competition, is that, like you said, keeps innovation going. So my next question goes again to you, Gaëtan, and we come back to regions. Any plan to open a region in Luxembourg?
Yeah, we decide on region based on different factors. The first one being customer feedback. So we need to have demand from customer for local region. But also we take into consideration a lot of other factors, because if we decide to put a region in a specific location, we have to make sure that if our customers are deploying the application in that region, that region is highly connected to our other regions, and customer will have the possibility to deploy application and offer low latency to the user. So there is a networking aspect also that is taken into account. And the last point, we discussed a lot about sustainability at the beginning. So we also look at the availability of renewable energy at the location. Now, to answer your question about Luxembourg, not that I'm aware. Now, if I look at all of our customers in Luxembourg, they're mainly using the Frankfurt and the Dublin region. And none of them complain about the latency or requested to have a local region in Europe so far, and in Luxembourg so far. Now, it could be some use cases. Like I said before, I'm mainly focusing on public sector customers. So it could be that for some industrial customers, when they have huge manufactories and playing with IoT devices, that for those kind of application, you need really low latency if you start collecting data from IoT sensors. Or some customer may be subject to local data residency requirements. So in this case, I can understand the need to have a region. And to address those concerns, we launch a new concept. It's not new from this year. It was launched a few years ago, but I really see a trend now in Europe that instead of launching new region, we launch what we call local zone. And a local zone is really a type of infrastructure deployment that places compute, storage, database, and other selected services closer to the end user. So you can really see that as an extension of a region closer to the user. We already have today 4 local zones in Europe, and we have pre-announced 8 additional ones for this year. So looking at Luxembourg, the closest, I think we announced a local zone in Brussels. There will be one in Munich. There will be one in Berlin. Maybe one day there would be one in Luxembourg, but that's really the trends that we see now is that we are opening extension of a local zone, extension of a region by opening local zone. Now, for customers that have a need for low latency, they also have the possibility to deploy what we call AWS outposts. So outposts are available in a variety of form factors. So it's really a 1U or 2U outpost server, or 42U rack, or multiple rack deployment. So it's really possibility that we give to customer to extend the AWS cloud in their own data center.
So my last question, because we are running out of time, where are we in the cloud adoption in 2023 and specifically for Luxembourg?
So I'll do it short. We are seeing with our client a lot of traction to the SaaS services, especially in the communication suite, so Google, M365 and some others. But clearly Luxembourg is a bit behind all the other countries, and I think it's due to the regulation and maybe less risk appetite of the actor here in Luxembourg to move to the cloud. But recently, and we saw it in the governance and sovereignty podcast with the CSSF and the last circular, there are no really constraints anymore for all the actors in Luxembourg to use it. So I think this year will be really an accelerator to the public cloud for Luxembourg.
Yeah, on my side, my customers are located all over Europe, and I really see a huge disparity, a huge difference between them. I have customers, like Quentin said, the most regulated one that are still mostly on premises. They are starting to experiment with the cloud, but on the other hand, I have other customers, like I just explained you before, that have aggressive goal and that are already well advanced and busy migrating a vast majority of the application, not everything. Usually they are still keeping a few applications, but really migrating a lot of the application, and even application with sensitive data to the AWS cloud. Now, in average, what I see is that most customers are busy. They're building a landing zone. They have a few workloads. They're starting with the development environment. They're starting with moving their public website or the streaming platform. They're doing new developments, and they're trying to do things that were not possible on-prem. So like building a data platform. A lot of my customers are processing a lot of documents. They're not extracting data and getting insight from those documents. So a lot of projects involving AI technologies to extract the content from documents. So still a lot to be done, I would say, but yeah, it's accelerating.
Great. Thanks for sharing. So this is Armin's question, but I'll say it. Let's keep it short and sweet. What are your key takeaways?
So for me, my key takeaway is that the public cloud will anyway be more sustainable than staying on-premise. With all the effort that all the public cloud providers are making, this is, for me, sure. But then don't forget to put the right strategy in place, set up your governance, the monitoring, and again, the cost management. Without those three, you would maybe end up in some issue. And so for me, it's really the key point, and they are really important.
For me, we talk a lot about the challenge of moving to the cloud. Yeah, I would say don't hesitate to get us involved, whether it's to help you bring that culture of innovation in the enterprise. We can share how we are innovating at Amazon, to educate your leaders about the benefits of the cloud or to build a business case. Many enterprises think they can do it themselves, but we have been helping other customers for over 15 years, and it's an experience we can share with all of you. So yeah, and to conclude, I would like to thank you for the invitation. It has been a great pleasure for me to be here today. So thanks for that.
Likewise, it was a very enriching conversation. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again.
Have a good day, all.
And that's all for today. This is Tech Talk, technology made simple over a cup of coffee. Don't miss out on any future episodes by hitting subscribe. Thank you for listening, and until the next episode.